These are 10 PlayStation features that you need to know when setting up your new console. If you are just about to or have finally got yourself a new generation console such as a PlayStation 5 or PS5 Slim, these tips and tricks are perfect for upgrading from a PS4 or even an Xbox, helping you get the most out of your latest purchase and have some fun playing games. The first thing every new PlayStation owner should understand are the different power modes and settings. It's very important that you understand how to safely disconnect your console to prevent any loss of data, because you don't want to lose all of your game saves, because that would be kind of tragic. The PS5, just like the PS4, has a feature called rest mode, which I absolutely hate because on the PS4 that had a physical hard drive that had a spinning disk, and if you disconnected it incorrectly from the power source, it could basically corrupt all the data on your hard drive, the operating system, and you'd lose everything. This is not as serious now because the PS5 does have an internal SSD, but if you do still turn it off incorrectly, it will sometimes have to rebuild the database, and also if you have any external hard drives connected for additional game storage, those could become corrupted just the same as on the PS4. Now, rest mode is displayed on your console by this orange light when it is basically in standby, and rest mode's meant to enable a much faster boot time for the console, so you can basically just pick up exactly where you left off, a bit like quick resume on the Xbox. The Xbox doesn't get corrupted if you turn it off. It's not the data loss that annoys me, it's more the fact it just makes turning and powering down the console super clunky. So if you just literally press the power button once on your console, it'll go straight into rest mode, and then if you want to unplug it from the power source and move it to a different room or take it to college or uni because you've finished the thing, you then have to boot the console back up, get the controller, log in, then turn and shut down the console fully. It's just super elongated. But thankfully, there is a shortcut that you do need to know about that sort of speeds up this process and circumnavigates all those additional steps. To power down the console from rest mode, saving you from booting it back up, all you gotta do is just press and hold the power button for a few seconds until it beeps, and then it will fully shut off, making it safe to disconnect from the wall power. In addition to this, understanding a few controller shortcuts when the console is on is going to be very beneficial. If you press the PlayStation button on your controller to boot up the game bar, then scroll over to the far right and press X on the power button with your controller, where you will be able to choose what type of shutdown you want to trigger. While we're briefly on the topic of setting up the console, let's talk about the stand. If you have the older fat PlayStation 5, inside of the box you may have overlooked this little plastic thing. This is the included vertical and horizontal stand that's very important to protect your console. Now, if you have the newer PlayStation 5 Slim, you do have to purchase the stand as an additional extra, which will cost you around $30. Now, if you're going to be placing your console horizontally, you want to make sure that the stand is placed correctly. Now, on the official PlayStation console covers, there will be these little symbols that are basically PlayStation icons, the X, square, triangle, and so on, that are etched into one side of the console. Then when you take this little plastic stand, you want to align these lips on the end with the two squares right at the end of this little pattern on the console cover. This will ensure that the stand is placed perfectly in the center of the console to make sure that it is balanced and sat correctly. Now, if you're going to be mounting it vertically, I personally don't use this mount vertically. Everybody freaks out in the comments, you're going to damage your PlayStation if you don't. Who cares? It's plastic, mate. Nothing's going to happen. But if you want to use this vertically to make sure it's a bit more stable, it doesn't get knocked over easily, or you don't scratch the plastic plates, which you're probably never going to do. Anyways, you just would slot this in to the bottom of the console. Then inside of the box, you would locate the screw and just tighten that into place, and you're up and running. Now, of course, there are some third-party options that are worth considering for your PS5. There are some options to wall mount it, which are pretty cool, and if you own the PSVR 2 headset, there are some very useful stands that combine a mounting place and charging dock for the PSVR 2, plus a place for you to put the PS5 all in a single unit. I'll leave a link down below to some of these options in the video description if you want to check those out. A recent feature added to the PS5 is game libraries. That was inherited from the PS4 as it was highly requested by the community. Game libraries let you organize your game into custom subfolders, which is excellent if you have a massive collection of titles. So to get this set up, what you want to do is you want to be on your PlayStation homepage and scroll all the way over to the end and you'll find game libraries. Just obviously launch into here. Then from this point, you can go ahead and create these subfolders, these little libraries for each of these games to be stored in under the Your Collection tab. So inside of the Your Collection tab, you'll see we've got these things called game lists. You can make as many of these as you like. You can rename them. You like FPS games, family games, racing games, however you want to structure your titles. Heck, you could even go to the next level and structure them by developer if you were super hardcore. But you create the game list by scrolling down and then going over to the left. So you literally just press the D-pad down once, then go left. And there's a little sub-menu to the left-hand side of the screen with these little icons, and you just click Create Game List. Then from in here, you just go ahead and select the titles you want. Just literally scroll around and just click X on whatever titles you want to add, and then go down to the bottom right and click Add. Then you get the opportunity, and you're presented with the opportunity to just rename this to whatever you like. You can just go ahead and do that, and then you've literally created the game list as quickly and as simply as that. On the topic of ratings, a recent addition to a PS5 software update was the ability to now add 5-star reviews to games within the PlayStation Store. This was massively missed at launch on the PS5 because it meant that players had no idea whether a game was good or bad, because the reviews just were not visible at all. However, this has all now changed. You can see a full rating out of 5 stars on the game store page, and this is also combined with the amount of reviews a game has received, helping you see if a title is very popular or kinda mid. This prevents you from wasting your money and also time on dead games, and also glitchy pre-launches and anything else that could provide you with pain and disappointment. The review system is well designed. You can only leave a review if you own or have played the game, so it prevents anybody from review bombing it or like the haters in the community, helping keep the store reviews accurate and honest so you make the best decisions. Now, if this isn't your first PlayStation console and you're transferring over from a PS4, this next tip will help you get up and running as fast as possible. To save yourself loads of time, instead of re-downloading all of your games from scratch from the PlayStation server, and if you're like me and you live in the countryside and have absolutely atrocious internet, this can take days. Alternatively, you can just use data transfer from PS4 to PS5 and also PS Plus cloud saves. What happens here is basically it will use your local network, so the full speed of like the bandwidth within your house, not the actual internet speeds, and it will basically just use your consoles as servers. So it will transfer all of your game downloads from your PS4 via the Ethernet over to your PS5 incredibly quickly, and then also you can then sync all of this up with your saved cloud data on your PS Plus accounts. Then all your game saves will just pick up exactly where you left off. Now, if you are going to be installing a huge amount of games, you're going to quickly fill up that hard drive space on the PS5. So you're going to want to expand that storage with one of these, an NVMe SSD. This right here is one of the cheapest NVMe SSDs that you can purchase for the PS5 that is compatible. It's more than half the price of the official one sold by Sony and some of the other premium brands. I'll leave a link to this one down below in the video description so you can buy one. Now, the NVMe SSD drives all come in different sizes and also price points, but depending on whichever you choose, you just need to ensure that it does have a heatsink on to prevent it from overheating during operation. And on Sony's website, there is a list of compatibility for the right speeds and so on. Now, the way that you actually install the NVMe SSD drive is super easy, and it actually adds additional storage on top of what is available internally on the PS5. So it's not like you're switching out the current drive. That's a little bit of a misconception online. So the PS5 by default comes with just shy of 800 gigabytes. I think it's like 600 something gigabytes after the storage space. And then from that point, you can add these NVMe drives up to 8 terabytes of additional space. The 8 terabyte ones do cost around $1,000, so maybe don't buy those ones, but at least a 2 terabyte or 4 terabyte one isn't going to set you back a crazy amount of money. And what you want to do is remove the top cover on the PS5 where it will reveal this little metal plate. You then remove that with the screw, and then inside of here there is a bay where you can insert the NVMe SSD drive. Ensure that you place the spacer in the correct location, click the NVMe SSD into place, and literally just screw it down. You can then rebuild your console, just put the covers all back on, click it all in, and then when you boot up the PS5, it will automatically detect this new NVMe SSD. Then from there, you can then format it and it will be up and running. The PlayStation will then reboot itself a couple of times to basically initialize, rebuild the database, all that type of stuff, and then you'll have all of this extra space, 2 terabytes, 4 terabytes, whatever you've added into your console for loads and loads of games. But there's one pro tip that you don't want to forget to do, and that is change the default save location of new game downloads, because it will by default try and put it onto the internal storage on your PS5, and if that's full, every time it's just going to say, you don't have enough space on your console, you don't have enough space on your console. So if you change this to the new NVMe drive that you've just added onto your PS5, it'll just put everything on there. Every time you buy a new game, it'll just install it straight away, and you won't have to manually set the save location, which becomes super tedious if you forget to do this. Next up, let's talk about remote play on the PS5, and this comes at a perfect time because of the brand new PlayStation Portal. PlayStation Remote Play is an interesting concept. Essentially, it allows you to have your PS5 turned on inside of your house, but if the television's occupied, for example, someone's watching TV or a movie on there, and you don't have another display, you can play your PS5 on a remote device. Now, this could be in various different formats. You can play it remotely via your iPad, so you just download the app for free on your iPad or tablet, and you can just stream your PS5 over to your iPad and connect your PlayStation controller via Bluetooth to your iPad and use that as the screen. That works quite well. I've done videos on that in the past, but more recently there are various devices that just make this way more seamless. So there's the new PlayStation Portal that is available that allows you to stream your PlayStation console directly to a handheld device that you can then have all the controllers and everything connected directly to the screen, and you can play from there. Now, the major advantage of the PlayStation Portal is that it does have haptic feedback, so you do have all of the same benefits of a regular PS5 controller. There's like vibrations there, you've got the adaptive triggers, all that type of stuff, whereas when you use the iPad there's no vibration at all via the controller. There are also other devices such as the Logitech G Cloud that enable you to stream your PlayStation 5 to a handheld tablet. The Logitech G Cloud is a pretty cool product, and it does have additional services. So the problem with the PlayStation Portal is it can only be used for PlayStation Remote Play only. Whereas at least the G Cloud, you can use Xbox Cloud Gaming, you can play Android games on there, you can watch Netflix on there, you can do PlayStation Remote Play, Steam Link, Nvidia, Shadow Play. So there's a little bit more versatility in terms of other cloud gaming services that you can use. You're not just tied into the Sony ecosystem. I just recommend getting started with an iPad or a tablet that you have lying around in your house. It's free. It allows you to see if you actually enjoy playing and using your PS5 in this way. And if you want to learn how to set that up in detail, just check out this video right here. Next, let's talk about probably one of my favorite features on the PlayStation 5, and that is the Discord integration. Recently, Sony added the ability for you to now have calls directly on your PS5 via Discord. This is awesome for any cross-compatibility multiplayer game. So for example, if you like playing Warzone, Fortnite, anything that has cross-compatibility with your friends that might be on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation, this just makes the party chat system incredibly seamless. So the way that you set this up is pretty simple. You head into your users and account and then go to link services and choose Discord. Next, grab your smartphone, but make sure that you're logged into Discord on your Android or iOS device inside of the mobile app, and then scan the QR code. This will basically just automatically log you in onto your PlayStation console without you having to type in your email, your password. It's just super fast. Once completed, using the Discord app on your phone, you can then pull up any server or voice chat that you want to speak inside of, and then just choose a party chat, but don't click join with voice. Instead, you want to swipe up on the screen to unlock the option to join on PlayStation, and then boom, just like that, you are now talking within Discord with your PS5 chat mic with your gaming headset. Sony finally adding this feature has been so important to cross-platform gaming because Xbox has had it for a little while, obviously PC has had it, now everybody's just using the exact same platform for chatting. It's a very pro-consumer move. Next, let's talk about some additional controllers that you can purchase for your PlayStation 5. This year, Sony released loads of different controllers, including both the PlayStation Edge and also the new adaptive controllers that makes gaming more accessible, and I think all of them are fantastic options depending on what you require. The PlayStation Edge has been one of my favorite controllers I have purchased this year. Aesthetically, I love its much more aggressive design with its black touchpad and the way the light bars are just a little bit more vibrant than on the standard gamepads. But obviously, it also has additional features such as the adjustable triggers, so you can basically change the throw length, so you can have it super short for like FPS shooters, or you can have it fully long, so it's like got the adaptive triggers like normal or in between, whatever you prefer. You can also switch out the thumbsticks for various shapes and sizes. It also has replaceable thumbstick modules, which is quite cool. So for around $20-30, you can switch out the thumbstick modules if you experience any form of stick drift or they get damaged in when you're gaming, which just makes the overall lifespan of the controller significantly larger. At the rear of the controller, there are also some rear back paddles that can be mapped to literally whatever buttons you like, and you can also create a bunch of different controller profiles and reassign like everything on the controller. You go absolutely to town on this thing. Create loads of different profiles for different games that you can quickly boot up with these little function buttons down here. Makes it very seamless. Another great feature for the hardcore gamers too is its wired functionality, so you can connect a charging cable that also has a grip to it, so the charge cable never becomes disconnected. So if you don't like using it wirelessly because it's got a slower response time or whatever, you can throw that in and have it wired for the fastest input. Next, I'm going to give you 4 PlayStation shortcuts that you need to know that will completely revolutionize how you use your console. When you're on the PlayStation Home, if you press triangle on the controller, this is a shortcut that will take you straight up to the search bar. This saves you loads of time of having to scroll through all the different icons and tiles to get up to the top right corner. If you press and hold the PS button on your controller, this will turn it off. This is great if you're playing 2-player split screen and you no longer require the second controller. Saves you having to like press the button, then scroll down to turn off, etc. You just hold it for a couple of seconds and that's it gone. Also works great if you're using PlayStation Remote Play with your iPad, so it's not on 24/7, because when this thing's connected via Bluetooth to a tablet or your smartphone, it will stay on all of the time until it goes flat, and there's no way to turn it off when it's on an iPad. So instead of having to disconnect the Bluetooth device, you can just press and hold this button and that'll switch it off, all sorted. A pretty funny feature that maybe isn't the most useful, if you press the left stick and right stick simultaneously while typing, this will enable gyro typing. So you can basically aim on the screen with this and select different stuff on the keyboard. Might be useful, you might type super fast with this, but it's good to know at least. And finally, if you double tap the PlayStation button, this will open up your party chat and also mic settings, which lets you just quickly adjust things on the fly. When you're playing on multiplayer or whatever, you need to turn your friends down, you need to change your mic, whatever. Super duper easy. Saves you having to do it the long way, where you press the PlayStation button, scroll through the quick bar, find your party chat, and so on. Now, obviously, all of those are super fast tips, but our final tip is by far one of the quickest. These are very similar to the Xbox Connect. Remember, you'd be like, Xbox, record that.
Xbox, record that.
Or Xbox, turn on. Xbox, turn off. PlayStation actually does this after all the mockery Microsoft got for that feature. Basically, if you say, hey, PlayStation, you can then follow it up with a command such as, hey, PlayStation, record the last 10 seconds. Hey, PlayStation, capture that, etc. You can say different phrases such as this, hey, PlayStation, play, blah, 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 and it actually kind of works. This is a great time saver and productivity feature of the PlayStation, but also a fantastic accessibility feature of the PlayStation. It can help some people launch different aspects of the console that might not be able to, so I do think it's good that this feature does exist. If you want to learn more about your PS5 controller and all of its hidden features, you should check out this video next, but alternatively, if you want to learn about what are the best games to play on your PS5, you should watch this video right here.